ॐ श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। सर्ववेदान्तसिद्धान्त गोचरं तमगोचरं गोविन्दं परमानन्दं सद्गुरुं प्रणतोऽस्म्यहम्। Adi Shankaracharya is applying these prakriyas like neti neti prakriya, which means not this, or drik drishya viveka prakriya, and applying it to this analysis of the anatma bodies and pointing out that all these sharira dharma, indriya dharma, mano dharma, the nature of ahankara, all these are anatma dharmas. They do not belong to atma. So atma is sthula sukshma karana sharirat vyatiriktaha panchakosha vilakshanaha avasthatraya sakshi. These are definitions borrowed from the Tattvabodha text. So Krishna has also beautifully said in chapter 13 of the Bhagavad Gita and says, Upadrashtanumanta cha bhatta bhokta maheshwaraha paramatmeti chapyuktaha dehesmin purushah paraha. This Atma is dehe asmin purushaha paraha. This Atma is really like a Raja who is uninvolved, asangaha, unattached, and indwelling this body. And this Atma is Maheshwaraha, Paramatma. Then Upadrashta. Upadrashta means the ultimate seer. Then Bhokta, ultimate enjoyer. Anumanta, the one who sanctions everything. Sanctions means permits. How does the Atma permit everything? By being the Sakshi. And is the Bhokta, is the enjoyer of everything. So the nature of Atma is pointed out as that which is Satyam, non-negatable truth in the three periods of time. Then Jnanam, Jnana Swarupa Chit, awareness. And finally, Ananta. Ananta means free from any kind of limitation. Desha, Vastu, Kala, Aparichinnaha Atma. And so that Ananta Atma is really what? Anandam. So, Asya Kaschana Api Dukkham Nasti. So, there is no Dukkham at all for or in the Atma. Then we saw that famous verse 106 of Viveka Chudamani, where we analyze that then where is the Sukham and Dukkham? We all experience degrees of Dukkham and Sukham. So then Acharya points out that happiness and grief and degrees of any emotion are all mental projections. They are vrittis, mental concepts. So svata eva vishayaha na priyaha says that in the sense objects in the world, there is no intrinsic happiness. They are not desired for the sake of those objects. We do not seek name, fame, status, relationships in the world, worldly objects, for their sake. Then for whom are we seeking? Atmartham. So the famous mantra from the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad says, Atmanastu kamaya sarvam priyam bhavati. So everything is dear to one, not for their sake, but because we derive some comfort, some peace, happiness, some degree of pleasure. So the mind has an emotional value. The mind is projecting desirability in the sense objects, and as a result of which one is attracted at times or repelled at other times. So this truth was pointed out in the 106th. And so when the mind sees a situation, a person, any event is anukula, favorable, then there is anandam in the mind. And when it is pratikula, unfavorable, then there is dukkham in the mind. But the jnanis, they have analyzed the situation that Vishyananda is experiential ananda. They are all adyantavantaha. They have an adi and antaha. Born is gone. There are degrees like priya, moda, pramoda. And so, nateshu ramate buddha, Krishna has said in the Gita, yehi samsparshaja bhogaha dukkhayonayaha evacha. So, the wise or the vivekis, they do not rejoice in the contact-born anandam, that which has a beginning and an end. Why? Because they become wombs of future pain, dukkha yonayaha. How? Because the Vishayananda will bind the mind to the samsara chakra through addiction by generating the craving and the trishna. So what do the wise people do? Nateshu ramate buddhaha atmani eva atmana tushtaha. So they enjoy what is called the nirvishayaha anandaha. Acharya uses that word. Nirvishayaha ananda means the Atmananda, Sadananda, which is not centered on an object, person, event, or situation. And this Ananda we all enjoy. Every day we are enjoying this in deep sleep. But the wise people, the Vivekis, are enjoying it even in the wakeful state. So all this was pointed out. And so through Viveka, Viveka is all about turning away from Vishyananda and moving towards the Swarupananda, which is our birthright. And so the jnani happily pursues activity. It is not that the jnani becomes a robo or a statue-like. The jnani may or may not engage in action, but happily. Whereas the worldly person will engage in activities for the sake of happiness. So one is emotionally dependent, while the other one is acting for loka sangraha and radiating that Swarupananda. Now, a question may come to our mind that should we not enjoy anything in the world, Vishyananda, spend time with family, friends, and watch movies and serials and travel and go on vacations. Definitely, we can enjoy all of this. But Acharya is just asking us to enjoy them with a pinch of Viveka and Vairagyam. To understand that these are all time-bound experiences. Yeah. So what do I really want? If I want permanence, I will not attribute permanence to the impermanent, fleeting objects of the world. That's something like to be like the audience that is enjoying a film. So we all enjoy the film, whether it is romance or suspense or horror even, or a tragedy or a comedy, because we are not identified with the characters. There is a distance, there's a space. We even praise the villain and say how well he did the job because there is a space. Yeah. So that is the Atma, Anatma, Viveka, Jnanam. So we are the role. I play roles, but I'm not the role in life. So when we have this kind of understanding, then there will be definitely no stress and tension, and there will be no conflicts either. So the jnani has understood what ahameva idam sarvam. The jnani is a samadarshi. The jnani sees his own atma shining in everything around him. And so there is no reason to be attracted to any one thing in the world or be repelled by anything. So that is the atmani eva atmana tushtaha. Then after that, in 108th shloka, Acharya picks up the topic of Maya. because we are slowly moving on to the third body, which is the Karana Shariram, the causal body. So, in the 108th shloka, Acharya unfolds the glory and wonder of Maya. So, how do we define Maya? That was explained as Yaya Jagat Prasuyate. That is the whole Jagat, this countless Jagat and the countless species, Namarupas, how did they all manifest from the one? That is the glory and power of Maya. The Maya is the power of Brahma, which manifests the one non-dual Ekaha, Advitiya Brahma into many Namarupas and Kriyas. So that is why Maya is called Upadana Karanam. One more word we'll add, Parinami Upadana Karanam, which is it transforms into all this Karyam Jagat, the effects. How? Because it is Trigunatmika. The Trigunatmika, through the three gunas, it transforms into the Jagat. But what about Brahma, Nirguna Brahma? That remains as Vivarta. So the word Vivarta means non-changing. So the non-changing Nirguna Brahma stays, unchanged, changeless. But it appears as the countless effects in the universe. How did this magic happen? That is the magic of Maya. And that Maya is Anadi, beginningless. So we see that the whole Srishti, everything is cyclic and going round and round and round. Krishna says in chapter 18 of the Gita, Brahmayan sarva bhutani yantrarudhani mayaya. By the power of Maya, Archana, all the beings, the lokas, samvatsaras, the yugas, they're all spinning. Galaxies, planets, satellites, all the jivas, everything is going round and round. And from beginningless time. So that is the power of Maya, Anadi. And today we're going to say that there is a Antaha. And that Maya is at the micro level of the Vyashti Jiva is Avidya. So we know Avidya Maya veils the Buddhi and projects. And then Vidya Maya is going to reveal the Vastu and the truth of the universe. So such a Maya was described by Acharya as Avyaktam, unmanifest. See, we cannot pinpoint Maya directly. We cannot perceive the Maya directly. It is a hidden power. But we can see its effect. When there is anger, we know that the Rajoguna of Maya caused it. When we are tired, sleepy, lazy, we can infer that that is the tamasic guna of Maya. So that is why Avyaktam Anadi. Now let us continue. Acharya continues on to explain the glory of Maya. If you remember last year, we studied the glory of Maya in the Saundarya Lahari text. Yeah, the part 1, beautifully Acharya describes the glory of Maya Shakti. And Adi Shankaracharya has also composed a prakarana of 5 verses called Maya Panchakam. 5 verses describing the Adbhuta and power of this Maya. Now let us move on to the 109th verse, and which is a very beautiful rhythmic verse. Number 109 in the original set. Sannapya sannapya ubhayatmikano, sannapya sannapya ubhayatmikano, bhinnapya bhinnapya ubhayatmikano, bhinnapya bhinnapya ubhayatmikano, Sangapyananga hyubhayatmikano, Sangapyananga hyubhayatmikano, Mahadbhutanirvachaniya rupa, Mahadbhutanirvachaniya rupa. Sannapya sannapyubhayatmikano, Bhinnapya bhinnapyubhayatmikano, Sangapyananga hyubhayatmikano, Mahadbhutanirvachaniya rupa. So here, the words are, very long words. samasas here, compacted compound words. So let me break it. Sannapya, sannapya. That is broken as sat api, asat api, ubhayatmika, no. Sat, sat api, asat api, ubhayatmika, na u. Same logic. Bhinna, bhinna api, abhinna api, ubhayatmika, no. By the way, no is no in English. No of Sanskrit is no, means not. Then sa, sanga api, ananga hi ubhayatmika, no. Sanga means sa anga. Sanga api, ananga hi ubhayatmika, no. Maha adbhuta anirvachaniya rupa. So now we know that this verse is also talking about the power of Maya. Now, the first line says, Sat, Sat na api, Asat na api. So this Maya, is it Sat? Is it real? The answer is no. Is it unreal? Asat? Also no. So now let me explain the three important words in Vedanta. Now, Satyam we all know. Satyam is that which is non-negatable in the three periods of time. And there is only one Satvastu, that is Atma Brahma. Everything else cannot be Sat because it is subject to time, the Shadvikaras, it is Drishta Nashta Swabhava, changing all the time. So it cannot be Sat. So Maya is not Sat, even though it appears to be Sat. Look at the world around you. You know, everything looks very tangible, very solid, very real. Yeah. So Sat na api, asat api na. So what about asat? Then is it not there? No, it appears before us. The tree is there, the people are there, the food is there, buildings are there. So we see all the effects of Maya. So it is not asat. Now the three words that is said is, one is Sat. Sat is Atma Brahma. Then Asat here will refer to false or non-existent. And Shastra gives the example of Vandhya Putraha or Khapushpam. Khapushpa means, can we pluck flowers from the sky for our puja? No. So, Akasha Khapushpam is Asat, non-existent. Then Vandhya Putra, how can a barren woman, infertile, have a son? So Vandhya Putra and Khapushpam don't exist. So Shastra gives these examples to explain Asat. And there's another word called Anritam, false. Now, is Maya, that kind of Asat, that it does not exist? No. We see it, we see all the effects around us. So finally what? It is both. Sat asadbhyam anirvachaniyam. So Maya is that which appears, but it is not really there. Because when we explore the effect, then it will disappear into the karanam. Simple example, the pot. The pot is a Maya effect, right? But is the pot really there? No. The pot vanishes, merges into its karanam clay. Clay is there. Is the clay really there? No. It vanishes into its karanam and so on. So even though there are objects in the world, they appear as Sat, but they are not really there. That is the power of Maya. So the first word, Sat, Na, Api, Asat, Na. Now, Ubhayatmika. This Ubhayatmika, this word means combination. Now, can we say Maya is both Sat and Asat? Definitely no, because we have cancelled each one. Now, how can it be a combination of both? Because Sat and Asat are opposites. How can mutually exclusive opposites coexist? So we can easily rule out the Ubhayatmika possibility. Okay. So, see, all these are involving some logic. So, our Vijnanamaya Kosha is being tested. Yeah. So, Maya is neither Sat, like Atma Brahma, nor Asat, like Vandhya Putraha. Is it a combination of both? No. Sannapya, Ubhayatmika, no. That no means no in English. Na, u, not. Okay. Now, second line. Bhinnapya, Ubhayatmika, no. Now, is the Maya Shakti Bhinna? Bhinna means different. Different from what? Different from Brahma. So, is the Maya separately existing independent of Brahma? No. Because Brahma is all accommodating, all pervasive. So, Maya is the power of Brahma. And we say Brahma Shraya Maya. It is not an independently existing tattvam like in the Sankhya philosophy. So in Advaita Vedanta, we talk about Ishvara as the Mayavi, the wielder of Maya. So Maya belongs to Ishvara. It's the power of Brahma, and hence it cannot be Bhinna. So rule out the Bhinna. Bhinna apina. Then, is it Abhinna? Abhinna means, it is not non-different. Now, not non-different is a double negative. And we all know Shankaracharya loves double negatives. Not non-different means same. Yeah. Is Maya Shakti the same as Brahma? Again, no. Why? Because Maya can be negated. Maya arrives and departs, whereas Brahma is. So they cannot be the same. Okay. So Maya is Bhinna from Brahma? No. Is it Abhinna? No. Is it Ubhayatmika? Combination of both? Same reason. No. Because you cannot have the two things that are mutually opposed coexisting. Okay. I hope you're following the logic. So here the logic is that there are two orders of reality. In the Vyavaharika reality, we have the whole Jagat is Jayate Gachati. That is all the galaxies, planets, satellites, yugas, everything is changing. Whether you take macro level, micro level. So that is by the power of Maya. And so, but Atma Brahma is the eternal silent witness, actionless. So that is why this is being pointed out, that Maya is neither Sat like Brahma nor Asat, non-existent. It is not the same as Brahma, nor is it different from Brahma. It is the power of Brahma. And it cannot be a combination. Okay. Now, the third line is Sangha. Sangha means with Anga. Can we say that the Maya has limbs, has parts? Is it Avayavi? No, again. Why? Because we just saw in the previous verse, Maya is Anadi. There is no birth for Maya. There is no point of origin. And if something is not born, how can it have limbs? So, Sangha, na. Then, Ananga, is it without limbs? Our mind will conclude, okay, so maybe it is without limbs. No, it is with limbs. I'm getting confused. Sangha and Ananga. Sangha is with limbs, we can rule out. Now, without limbs, is the Maya without limbs? Also, no. Because Maya is creating so many things in the world which have limbs. Take our own body. It has so many organs and parts and limbs. So, something with limbs only can cause. So, the Maya is with limbs in the sense that it has constituents, the three gunas. So, Sangha apina, Ananga apina, and Ubhayatmika na. It is not a combination also. So why is Maya limbless? No, limbless it cannot be. cannot be Niravayavi because it has caused the Jagat and Jagat has limbs. Okay. Is it a combination? No. Ubhayatmika api? No. For the same reason. Then the last word is Maha Adbhuta Anirvachaniya Maya. Anirvachaniya means that which cannot be categorically pointed out. This is Maya. Okay. So Maya can only be known and measured by the effect. The earlier verse we saw, the wise people, Sudhis, they, they can do Anumanam that, oh, I see an effect. So there must be a Karanam for it. And that is Maya. Upadana Karanam. So such a Maha Adbhuta Anirvachaniya Parama Isha Shakti is Maya. Mahamaya. Puja Swamiji would say, this is the great Mataji. Savdhan. So we have to surrender to this Maya. No? We cannot fight with this Maya. We cannot argue. We cannot even try to understand it. Because it is something, it's veiling my intellect, sometimes projecting, and sometimes revealing, and we see that Gita says, Nahi kaschit shanamapi jatu tishtati akarmakrit. By the power of Maya, can anything, anyone remain still even for a moment? No. So how we are impelled to wake up and to, get into the day, all the activities, then we get tired and we sleep and dream and wake up again. This goes on non-stop, birth after birth. So this is the Maya Shakti. So in the next verse, Acharya will explain that fortunately there is an end to the spinning power of Maya, that is by the gain of knowledge. So let's chant this verse again. Sannapya sannapyubhayatmikano bhinnapya bhinnapyubhayatmikano sangapya nangahyubhayatmikano mahadbhutanirvachaniya rupa. Now, 110th verse, Shankaracharya answers the question, so when will this Maya stop? Stop the wheel of samsara for me. Shuddhadvaya brahma vibodhanashya. Shuddhadvaya brahma vibodhanashya. Sarpa bhramo rajju vivekato yatha. Sarpa bhramo rajju vivekato yatha. Rajastamasattvamiti prasiddha. Gunastadiya pratitaiः svakaryaiः. Gunastadiya pratitaiः svakaryaiः. Shuddha advaya brahma vibodhanashya. Sarpa brahmaha rajju vivekatah yatha. Rajaha tamaha sattvam iti prasiddha. Gunaha tadiyaha pratithaihi svakaryaihi. So, very beautiful shloka here is talking about, no? So this Maya is indescribable. It is a mysterious, powerful power of manifestation, creative power of Brahma. It has the three gunas, sattva, rajas, and tamas, and everyone is caught in the net of Maya. So the whole Jagat is born of the Maya, the womb of Maya Shakti. And so obviously the Trigunatmika Maya will take effect in every corner of the entire Jagat. So nobody is free of the gunas. Now we are going to see that how can one be free from the so Maya So Maya is Nashya. Nashya means will come to an end. Maya will cease. Maya will be negated. For whom? The rest of the words. For whom there is Shuddha Advaya Brahma Vibodha. Vibodha means knowledge. So for the Viveki, for the Jnani who has gained the knowledge of the pure Advaya Brahma. In short, the one who has gained the knowledge of Paravidya. The one, it's like the magic show. When you've attended the magic show, supposing you're keenly observing the magician, he's obviously playing some trick. Then you notice the hands and you've understood the trick. You have seen the magician, then the magic has no effect on you. You have seen through the magic. So similarly, the one who has victory over the Maya is the one who has gained the knowledge of the Maya win, the magician who is Shuddha Brahma. So Shuddha Advaya Brahma Vibodhena Nashya. So the Maya is negated for the Jnani who has gained the knowledge of Shuddha Advaya Brahma Tattvam. Then the familiar example comes Yatha, just as Sarpa Brahmaha Rajju Vivekataha. Sarpa Brahmaha, we all know, the classic stock example of rope snake, Rajju Sarpa. Now, Sarpa Brahmaha means that erroneous perception or imagined snake on the Rajju, on the rope. Why did that happen? Maya. Maya Kalpita Sarpa Brahmaha. Because there is no real snake. But because my mind projected a snake on the harmless rope, it is Maya Kalpita. It is a Maya power in the semi-darkness. So that Sarpa Brahmaha, that fear, that agitation, that samsara, that Brahmaha, how will it go? Rajju Vivekataha. Rajju is rope. So until with more light, I discover the harmless Adhara, the Rajju. The Rajju is the standing for Nitya Vastu. Vivekataha. How? By Viveka. By clear knowledge. Discriminative, clear knowledge. Yatha. So too, this Maya Jagat is like the snake. And Brahma, Atma Brahma is like the Rajju. So until we gain the knowledge of Atma Brahma, which is the Adhara, upon which the Jagat, the snake-like Jagat is superimposed, that snake will remain. So that Maya is Nashya, is negatable only when we gain the knowledge of Shuddha Advaya Brahma. Krishna says this in the chapter 7th, no? Mama Maya Duratyaya. Ye mam prapadyante te etam mama mayam taranti. Krishna says the one who is a mamukshu, who seeks to know my higher nature, Advaya Shuddha Brahma nature, alone will cross over my difficult Maya. Then Krishna also laments, but alas, the whole world is caught up, fascinated by this lower Maya of mine, the lower nature, which is there entangled in the samsara vrikshaha. That is the first line. The second line again praises the Maya. Rajaha tamaha sattvamiti prasiddha. So this Maya is famous, prasiddha, because of her assistance, the three gunas. Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. These are the gunaha tadiyaha. Tadiyaha means belonging to her. That Shakti constitutes the three gunas. Tadiyaha, her gunas are these three gunas and they are pratithas, pratithaihi. They are famous. How they are famous? Swakaryehi. Each guna has a binding power. And you can now connect to chapter 14 of the Gita. We have seen how does the tamoguna bind the jiva? By the feeling of inertia, laziness, dullness, closed mind, depression. No? It veils the buddhi. Then Rajoguna projects projects a life of activity, dynamism, even desire, and then further greed, and so on. And Sattva Guna also binds one to knowledge and happiness. In the sense, Sattva Guna is the highway to moksha, no doubt, and is, the best of the three gunas. But Sattva has a very subtle bondage. That is, if there is a happy, peaceful state, let us say after meditation, I want it to continue. But can the guna ever be fixed? No, the gunas will keep rotating. Yeah, the whole day we experience all the three gunas from morning till night. They're constantly rotating. So, the message of that Gunatita, chapter 14 of the Gita was what? Be a Gunatita. That is, be a witness of the gunas. So, when sattva is there, enjoy it, no? And so, minimize tamas, manage rajas, and be in sattva, and the sattva will take you beyond sattva to become a Gunatita. Okay? So, here, the Maya is so famous for the effects, it is said. The Swakarya means the effects that we see in the world. In the world, don't we see people who are extremely rajasic or tamasic or sattvic, then even pursuits, and in the plants also people are classifying vegetables in the three categories and everything is all labeled and defined. And so by that we know that Maya is prasiddha, famous, very well known because of the effect. And this is the threefold effect. So the sattva guna is the only guna that will remove the veil of darkness, that will reveal the vastu, and that will give viveka, vairagyam, and ultimately paravidya. Let's chant this again. Shuddhadvaya Brahma Vibodhanashya, Shuddhadvaya Brahma Vibodhanashya, Sarpa Brahmorajju Vivekato Yatha, Rajastamas Sattvamiti Prasiddha, Gunastadiya Pratitei Swakaryaihi. So the question here is answered. When will Maya end? It will end for the one who has gained the knowledge of the Maya win, the one to whom Maya belongs. Shuddha Advaya Brahma. Now let's go to the 111th verse. Here, Acharya is going to explain the Rajoguna of the Maya Shakti. विक्षेप शक्ति रजस क्रियात्मिका, विक्षेप शक्ति रजस क्रियात्मिका, यतः प्रवृत्ति प्रसिता पुराणी, यतः प्रवृत्ति प्रसिता पुराणी, रागादयोस्याः प्रभवन्ति नित्यं, रागादयोस्याः प्रभवन्ति नित्यं, दुःखादयो ये मनसो विकाराः, दुःखादयो ये मनसो विकाराः. विक्षेप शक्ति रजसः क्रियात्मिका, यतः प्रवृत्तिः प्रसिता पुराणी, रागादयः अस्याः प्रभवन्ति नित्यं, दुःखादयः ये मनसः विकाराः. This is a simple shloka where Acharya explains the power of rajas and how it binds. Now, we have seen in the Driktrishya Viveka the twofold power of Maya. Shakti dvayam hi mayaya vikshepavriti rupakam. Vikshepa and avarana are the two powers by which the Maya becomes the samsara karanam. First is avarana. Avarana is the Maya will veil the buddhi. Just like we saw in Dakshinamurti Stotram, how the sun or the moon get eclipsed, as though eclipsed. So the avidya Maya will veil. And then once it is veiled the Atma, then there will be vikshepa, projection. Then one will take oneself to be anatma. Anatma, deha, prana, indriya, manas, buddhi, ahankara. That is vikshepa. So they work in tandem, Avarana, Vikshepa. Here, the Vikshepa Shakti is explained here. Vikshepa Shakti, what is it? Rajasaha Kriyatmika. It is the power of action, Kriya, of Rajas. And Yataha, from which Pravrittihi Prasita Purani. The second line, does it look familiar? Chapter 15. Tameva chadyam purusham prapadye yatah pravritti prasita purani. Chapter 15, Purushottama Yoga, the same line comes there. Yatah pravritti prasita purani means from which the whole Srishti has manifested. That is due to the Rajoguna of Mahamaya. That is the Vikshepa Shakti. Now, we are all very familiar with the three cosmic functions, right? Srishti, Sthiti, Laya. And in the Puranas, there are personifications also. Brahmadev as Srishtikarta and Mahavishnu as, a Sthitikarta and Rudra as the Layakarta. So, it is also defined how they need the three gunas to perform their cosmic functions. And we should not think they are persons, devatas. It's a principle. So, Brahmadev is considered the embodiment of Rajas because Brahmadev has to manifest the Srishti. So, we need activity. And that is Vikshepa Shakti Rajasaha Kriyatmika. Whereas Mahavishnu is the embodiment of Sattva because has to sustain and maintain the universe. And Rudra, through the Tamoguna, Rudra is going to withdraw the entire Srishti into Avyaktam. For that we need the Tamoguna. Just like we also go through these cosmic functions at a micro level. Yeah, Jagrat, Sapna, Sushupti. Jagrat is like Srishti for us and Sushupti is Laya at the micro stage. So here Maya has these two powers, Vikshepa and Avarana. So the first line simply says that by the Rajoguna of Maya, the entire Srishti is born. Yataha Pravrittihi Prasita Purani. This is from ancient time, Purana. This entire Srishti has manifested yuga after yuga, within the yugas, lokas, and samvatsaras, from the Rajoguna of Mahamaya and from the Vikshepa Shakti. Vikshepa Shakti is the power of projection. Now, the second line is explaining Rajas at our level, at the micro jiva level. Ragadayaha asyaha prabhavanti nityam. Asyaha means from her. From that Rajoguna of Mahamaya, what arises always nityam? Ragadayaha. Raga, Dvesha, Kama, Krodha, Mada, Moha, all these. All of them arise in the mind. So, Ragadeyaha asyaha prabhavanti. They manifest. Nityam, always. So, we all know the mind. Once there is an I notion, we have woken up from deep sleep, it becomes like a thought generating machine. So, aham idam, there will be countless thoughts. Some we pursue, some we drop, some we observe, and some, subside back into the mind lake. But Raga Deha, this is because of the Rajoguna of Maya. So Raga Deha Asyaha Prabhavanti Nityam. Then what else? Then what will happen once the Raga Dveshas become very prominent? Dukkha Deha. So they translate into pain or addictions or frustration, disappointment, and adi padartha. We will include all this. No? So the power of the mind to desire is because of the Rajoguna. And this is explaining how there are these thoughts in the mind and they will translate into future situations of pain, dukkha deha. But what are they all after all? Manasaha vikaraha. They are the modifications of the mind. So they are all dhi vrittayaha. Drisha, we saw that. Hrihi, dhihi, bhihi. You know, that any emotion, like emotion of anger, love, alienation, insecurity, happiness, softness, they're all what? They're all manasaha vikaraha. They're all manovrittis, manodharmas. So all the thoughts are dancing in the mind chamber, the chamber that is lit up by Atma Sakshi. And that is the Rajoguna at the micro level, Chitta Vrittis. So here the Vikshepa Shakti is explained first as due to the Rajoguna of Maya. विक्षेपशक्तिरजसः क्रियात्मिका यतः प्रवृत्तिः प्रसिता पुराणी रागादयो स्याः प्रभवन्ति नित्यं दुःखादयो ये मनसो विकाराः. Now let's go to one more shloka, 112th shloka, where this Rajoguna is further explained in detail. कामक्रोधो लोभदम्भात्यसूया कामक्रोधो लोभदम्भात्यसूया अहङ्कारेर्ष्यामत्सराद्यास्तु घोराः अहङ्कारेर्ष्यामत्सराद्यास्तु घोराः धर्मा एते राजसा पुं प्रवृत्तिः धर्मा एते राजसा पुं प्रवृत्तिः यस्मादेशा तत्रजो बन्धहेतुः यस्मादेशा तत्रजो बन्धहेतुः. Now, kamaha, krodha, lobha, dambha, adi, asuya. All these are familiar words we have seen in chapter 16 of the Gita, Daivasura Sampat Vibhaga Yoga chapter. Ahankara, Irshya, Matsara, Adi, tu ghoraha. Adyaha tu ghoraha. Dharmaha ete rajasaha pum pravrittihi yasmat esha tat rajaha bandha hetuhu. Very simple shloka. So, esha. So, this Maya, because of the Vikshepa Shakti and the Rajoguna, it becomes a Bandha Hetuhu, cause of bondage. Now look at the first line. A number of undesirable qualities are mentioned. And if you remember chapter 16, we saw all that qualities collectively called as Asuri Sampatti. So we can go through this word by word. Kamaha. Kamaha is desire. What kind of desire? Binding desire. Rajo guna samudbhavaha. Krishna says in the Gita also. So, what is born of Rajas is a desire which is very compelling, binding. I must fulfill it to be happy. That is the kama mentioned here. So, kamaha. And we know that will become krodhaha. Unfulfilled kamas will become krodhaha. And fulfilled kamas will become lobha, greed. So once I satisfy a desire, it is very likely that the desire, which is like a fire, will ask for more. So lobha, there'll be attachment, addiction, and lobha will be there. Then dambha. Dambha is pride, pride of ownership. I own the status, this palace, this wealth, and so dambha, pride will be there. Then adi padartha. Adi padartha, you can include all the other, negative qualities, manitvam, dambitvam, and so on. Then asuya. Asuya is fault finding. We find people who will always be trying to find a scapegoat in the world, somebody to blame things upon. Yeah, they won't take responsibility. So asuya is the fault-finding nature. Like Duryodhana. Remember, Duryodhana went on a world tour and came back and told Krishna, Krishna, I met a lot of people in the world but all of them had some Durguna. So I think I'm, the most shining person among the whole world. Whereas Yudhishthira, he also had the same task. He went around and said, Krishna returned and said, all the people are so, they have some divine quality in them, but I have so much to improve upon. So much Durgunas. No? So this Asuya is like the quality of a Duryodhana or Ravana who are finding fault and with all the setup and the world. Then Ahankara. Here Ahankara is not I notion. Ahankara is pride. Pride of ownership. Then Irsha. Irsha we know is envy. So envying something which one does not have. Yeah, jealousy. So jealous by comparing and contrasting. Then we want something that somebody else has and we envy that position. That is Irsha. Then Matsara. In Gita, there is a beautiful quality called Vimatsaraha, the one who has no Matsara. What is Matsara? Matsara is like a miserly quality. The one who is unwilling to share even if one has abundance. So that, that clinging nature is called Matsara. Then Adi. All these, first line is what? Ghoraha. Terrible Asuri Sampattihi. And they're all born of Rajas. Next line is going to say that Dharmaha. These Dharmaha here means qualities. These qualities, Ete Rajasaha. They are Rajasaha. And Yasmat, from which what? Pum Pravrittihi happens. Now, what is Pum? Pum stands for Puman, person. And Pravritti is the tendency or the inclination. So, what motivates the Puman or Pum? It is this Rajoguna. So, Yasmat, this Esha, and this Rajoguna, when we allow it to expand and we are completely under its grip, Rajas is holding the mind hostage, then what happens? Bandha hetuhu. This Rajas becomes a cause for bandhanam, bondage. And we know the familiar cycle, avidya, kama, karma phalam, janma. So in every janma, one will be chasing and fulfilling and then again going round and round and round. And so here we can connect. So what do we do about it? Acharya does not mention that, but we have to connect to the Gita. Then how do we slow down the samsara chakra? Karma yoga, Ishvara arpanam, then prasada buddhi, and by samarpanam and by karma yoga, we dilute the raga dveshas. Then the rajas, the force of the rajas is to calm down, and through upasanas and all the spiritual sadhanas, we increase the level of sattva, and then only we can approach this jnanam, then liberating knowledge. So let's read shloka again. कामक्रोधो लोभदम्भात्यसूया अहङ्कारेर्ष्यामत्सराद्यास्तु घोराः धर्म एते राजसा पुंप्रवृत्तिः यस्मादेषा तत्रजो बन्धहेतुः ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः हरिः ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ॐ